What's up, guys? This is Bryce Van Hoosen, and what you just heard was the Toneforge Jeff Loomis VST from Joey Sturgis Tones. This is the latest Toneforge VST from the fine folks over at Joey Sturgis Tones, and it is the signature VST from my buddy Jeff Loomis. So I was very excited to try this and be able to use it on a little track that I'm working on. So this thing is awesome. I think that you should totally get it, but let's jump over here into Reaper and we can check out the sounds that I dialed in, as well as some of the other presets and things that this is capable of doing. All right, so I am here in Reaper and I have a couple instances of the Toneforge Jeff Loomis VST open here on my rhythm tracks. So essentially, per Jeff's recommendation, he told me to use the lead channel mixed with a overdrive to kind of tighten things up. That's sort of what he likes to do, and given my experience with 5150s and that sort of thing, that is also kind of what I opted to do. So looking at the actual amps that you have available in the VST itself, you have a lead channel, which is obviously sort of modeled after a EVH type amp. A rhythm, this looks to me like it would be a Mesa dual rectifier of some sort with a tube switch. That's really awesome. And a clean channel. I'm not sure entirely what this was modeled off of, or if it was sort of an own proprietary sort of sound that they were going after, but it's awesome. You can really dial in some very ambient, clean tones. So that's great. So anyway, so for what I did, I basically dialed this in like standard 5150-ish amp that I have sort of been using for almost my entire life at this point. So gain at about 2 o'clock. Here we have a control that's not on the 5150. This is the shred control. This is almost like a high boost or sort of a clarity switch or something like that. But basically, as you increase this, the top end frequencies of your signal start to pop out a little bit more. So for me, at least, a little bit goes a long way. So I left that kind of at about, what would that be? Maybe 10, 11 o'clock or so. So low, I like to push up to 2 o'clock. Mids will scoop down a little bit. Highs, same, 2 o'clock. Presence, 2 o'clock. And volume about where you want it as far as the actual sag of the amp goes. So that is awesome. That is a very ballsy, just dripping molten metal tone. So once I get to the lead part, we will get into some of these other sections here because I kind of utilize them a little bit more for that. For rhythms, I really kind of like to keep things more simple than not. So we'll do overdrive, amp, and cabinet. So for the cabinet section, this is something that's really interesting and unique to this particular VST. You have a dual cabinet setup here. And this is, of course, similar to what you would actually be able to do with real gear in a real studio. And it's awesome that it's condensed and sort of put here so that we can use this at home as well. So what I have here is I have the Bogren Digital cab for my left cab, and the JST Classic 412 cab for my right cab. And of course you get the option between the JST matched cab, JST Classic, the Bogren Digital, and your own impulse response, which we will talk about a little bit later. If you've ever used any of the other Toneforge VSTs, then the Classic cab with the ability to select condenser 421 and a couple 57 options should look very familiar to you. So the really cool thing about this is this blend function, where with this slider you can basically increase or decrease the amount of cab A versus cab B. So that in action is so say you have a very bright sounding impulse response that you want to use and kind of a bit of a dull, more bass heavy impulse response. Just put those two together and blend it to taste. All right, so some of the other cab sounds that come just native out of the box. So there is a whole host of options for you to use there. All right, so let's check out some of the factory presets that come with this just straight out of the box. So we'll start with some of the presets that were put together from Jeff himself. A lot of great sounds there, and that's gonna make it really easy for you to get in here and get off and running with a great tone just right out of the box. So for my lead tone, again, I kind of base this off of what I have known and what I've sort of liked for other 5150s that I have used in my lifetime. So just gonna kind of bump up a little bit on the mids and really kind of keep this amp-wise about the same. So using just a little bit of compression. This is a really great sounding compressor, and I like to dial in my overdrives for lead tones to be something sort of like this. For the cab section, I am actually using some custom impulse responses that I got from Celestion from their impulse response line. So we're using the G12 Lynchback mic'd with an SM57. And for cab B, I'm using the Classic Lead 80 mic'd with an SM57. I have it tilted a little bit more toward the Lynchback, which is brighter, of course. The Classic Lead being a little bit darker, so it gives me a little more top end with that, but also get the kind of bassier sort of low end of the Classic Lead 80. So. Coming over here to the effects, so you get a very nice reverb box here that ranges from ambient to, spring, and the Echo Man. So let's jump into this reverb first. I know that Jeff really likes delay and reverb, so of course you know that you're going to get a fantastic sounding delay and reverb out of this VST. So basically what we have here in this very nice sort of ambient looking reverb box is we have some goodies in here. So I usually like to put a plate reverb just to kind of keep that Van Halen sort of vibe going, but we can really kind of dial in something that is, I want to say, a little more churchy sounding to just downright evil. So to give you an idea of what this cloud reverb sounds like. Chorale. And of course, ending with the blood reverb there. I love that. I don't think I've ever seen a blood reverb. I don't know if that's a thing that was come up with for this or what, but that's really cool. So as you can hear, you can really kind of dial this in from just a simple spring reverb to a shred vortex of reverberating sounds. All right, so for the Echo Man, basically a very standard looking delay that's great. I personally don't like to have a whole lot of knobs because it really makes these things kind of hard to use. So we get here. There you go. It never ends. You can make this super wide and turn the feedback up really high to get some just kind of out of this world spaceship taking off kind of sound and stuff. And then, of course, with the time, it basically just locks in. If you're in the sync mode, it locks in kind of a value, a note value, I guess, so that... If you want to do that dotted 8 sort of thing, it makes it real easy. All right, so for the equalizer, of course, being a lead tone, I like to kick up the mids and the treble a little bit. The lows I made a little bit higher, kind of cut them, and the bass cut that as well. I also used this dynamics section here and turned the intensity up to about 56.6, so really kind of made this solo section pop. All right, so let's kind of check out some of the other lead presets that we have going here. So there's a lot of ground that you can cover with these 3 amps, the pre-stomp boxes, the cabs, and the effects and different settings that you can dial in with these. I mean, really the possibilities are kind of endless. So that is the Toneforge Jeff Loomis VST from Joey Sturgis Tones. Clean, crunch, lead, it does it all. Literally everything that you could need to have absolutely awesome metal guitar tones right out of the box. It has delays, reverbs, overdrives, compressors, EQ. You have full control over the dynamics, literally everything that you would want in a great sounding plugin. This is really one of the best VSTs that's out there on the market today. I would check it out if you are looking for a solution that is going to do it all for you and sound great and not break the bank either. All right, this has been Bryce Van Hoosen. I will see you next time.